Kamala Harris has had a career of historic firsts. When Joe Biden was inaugurated president in 2021, Harris became the first woman to serve as the US vice president and the first person of black and Asian heritage in that role. Harris referred to her groundbreaking path in her victory speech after the November 2020 election.
But while I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last. Because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities.
Harris's term as vice president began with her often working behind the scenes. Biden tasked her with handling the migrant crisis at the United States southern border, seen by many as an intractable issue. Her work on migration produced no major successes. But Harris later had opportunities to build up her foreign policy credentials, including as the top US delegate at the Ukraine Peace Forum in Switzerland.
America stands with Ukraine not out of charity, but because it is in our strategic interest. We stand with delegations from more than 90 nations who also have a strategic interest in a just peace in Ukraine.
Harris was born in 1964 to immigrant parents from India and Jamaica. She studied law and served as a prosecutor in her home state of California, then went on to become the state attorney general. She was seen as tough on crime in her legal career, a stance that drew criticism from some fellow Democrats who said she didn't do enough to address police brutality and racial injustice. Harris later spoke out strongly for legal reform amid nationwide protests against police violence in 2020.
We are in the midst of a long overdue reckoning on racial injustice in America.
Harris was elected to the US Senate in 2017, representing the state of California. Just 2 years later, she announced her candidacy as a Democratic Party contender against the incumbent president, Donald Trump. She clashed with Joe Biden in primary debates. But after withdrawing from the race, Harris endorsed Biden, then agreed to be his running mate.
Racial justice is on the ballot in 2020. And Joe Biden is on the ballot in 2020. And with that, I introduce the next president of the United States, Joe Biden.
As a presidential candidate and later as vice president, Harris has been an outspoken critic of Trump. She slammed Trump's rhetoric on immigration as she continued to campaign for Biden's re-election this July, despite growing calls for the president to step down.
Someone who vilifies immigrants, who promotes xenophobia, who stokes hate, and who incites fear should never again have the chance to stand behind a microphone and never again have the chance to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States of America.
The attacks have gone both ways, with Trump painting Harris as a far-left socialist in a recent campaign speech.
And I don't think Kamala Harris's California socialism is going to go down well with the people of Doral, the people of Miami, or the people of Florida. Because in Florida, we don't like socialism. We want our freedom, right? We want our freedom.
Harris has also established herself as a vocal defender of reproductive rights, a position that appeals to many voters. Polls show that about 2/3 of Americans oppose the 2022 Supreme Court ruling that overturned nationwide protections for access to abortion.
Today, our daughters know fewer rights than their grandmothers. This is a healthcare crisis, and we all know who was to blame: Donald Trump.
Harris is married to Doug Emhoff, a lawyer who adopted the role of the nation's second gentleman. Emhoff's 2 adult children refer to Harris, their stepmother, as Marmala. In national polls, Harris appears to have similarly low favourability ratings to Biden. It remains to be seen how Harris's association with Biden and her own political record will land with voters in a rapidly changing campaign.